There is no password.
Why is it giving me password?
So I don't know if it's asking you to log into your Zoom account. If you didn't log into your Zoom account, you just need to log into your Zoom account. And that's how you access through your phone. It's we want people with verified Zoom accounts. So welcome everyone. We're streaming right now on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for all of you joining us on Facebook and YouTube, either now live or afterward. We are also here on Zoom. You can find our Zooms on www.clearwaterbaha'is.org. You just scroll down and there's a big Zoom button. You click on it and you'll join us on Zoom. So with that being said, welcome Dr. Hussein Adie. We're so pleased to have you today for part 2 of this series, My American Dream. For those of you who are joining us and are unaware, Dr. Adie was born and raised in Nayrizi, Iran. He's a 6th generation Baha'i, and his ancestors figure among the first in Nayrizi to accept the Babis and later the Baha'i faith. He immigrated to the United States as a young man of 17 years old. Like many immigrants seeking a better life in America, he worked and attended college in the New York area. Hussein eventually completed a master's degree in European intellectual history and a doctorate in education from the University of Massachusetts. Dr. Adie has had a distinguished career in education in New York. His proudest achievement is to have been one of the founders and assistant headmaster of the Harlem Prep School, a world-renowned charter high school for disadvantaged students. The school is credited with helping numerous people to rise from poverty to a better life. Dr. Adie also served as director of educational programs at Fordham University. Now, of course, we have his description on clearwaterbaha'is.org. You can read further. He has several books he's written, and you can, for today's subject, look up the book titled The Foreigner, From an Iranian Village to New York City. The subject for today, this week's topic, My American Dream. In this significant year commemorating the 100-year anniversary of the ascension of Abdul Baha, we are reminded again of his suffering in exile and prison as thousands of Baha'is who were forced to leave their homes seek refuge in other countries. Throughout the 1960s and since, thousands of Baha'is left Iran to escape persecution. This presentation is a story of one such Baha'i. Hussein Adie spent his childhood and adolescence in the sleepy, jumbled Nayrizi streets. It revolved around being a member of a persecuted but highly resilient religious minority amidst timeless routines organized around the daily calls of prayer by the Muslim majority population. 2 decades later, Dr. Adie found himself working amongst like-minded colleagues at the Harlem Prep School in New York City, guiding hundreds of young African Americans away from the streets and into college. This presentation is a vivid retelling of a Baha'i, sometimes painful, but always hopeful, experiences as a foreigner. It will consider what it means to be a foreigner in one's own country of birth, which we've discussed last presentation, as well as, in this presentation today, one's new adopted home. Finding peace and meaningful life in the Baha'i faith, with realization that home is not a place outside the world, but inside of us, the cradle of the soul. Dr. Adie, please, we are ready to hear you finally do the talking.
What a nice introduction. I think you should continue. I'd love to, I'd love to hear this. This is really, and sometimes, usually they do this kind of thing after the person is dead. You know, you often, when you go to a funeral or memorial, they keep talking about how wonderful this person was, how much he accomplished. And, you know, I've been in many memorial funerals, and I keep thinking, are they talking about the same person I used to know? So this is wonderful to be alive and somebody like you to say nice thing about him. Thank you, John. Before I start the main presentation, I'd like to make a comment about something I have said last session, and also something that I have posted on the Facebook about the persecution of Baha'is in the last 60, 70 years in Iran. There has been some remark by people that even put their comment on the Facebook post that the persecution of Baha'is only started only 40 years ago after Khomeini, after revolution in 1979. And I got a little bit upset when I read those comments, and I thought I would share with you a little background and also refer to you a book that was written by a great scholar by the name Fereydun Vahman, who wrote a book called 175 Years of Persecution of Baha'is in Iran. It's a wonderful book, and it showed that this persecution of Baha'is has been ongoing since the time of the appearance of the Bab. And then it continued during Baha'u'llah, Abdul Baha, Shoghi Effendi, on and on and on. Now, the reason for the persecution still is there. And I give you the back why we are persecuted. The mullahs and the mujtahids and ulamas and those who are in charge of the Shia Islam, they consider themselves representative of the hidden imam. Otherwise, they said, in the absence of Qa'im, we are the authority that you can refer to and you can listen to. On his behalf, they collect large amount of money. On his behalf, they own a great deal of real estate. On his behalf, they issue lots of other statements. So when Bob came along and said, I am the Qa'im, I am the hidden imam, that means their shops was closed. Otherwise, who are they going to represent? The guy himself has come, and then Baha'u'llah has come. So they could not go around and conduct the business as they were doing it for years and years and years. So this is the backbone of opposition to Babi and Baha'i faith. Now, this man, Fereydun Bahman, in the 175 years of persecution, indicate the series of episodes and upheaval and genocide of the Babis and Baha'is that took place in that bloody country. Now, what they're objecting, some of my friends who posted in the Facebook, because they are fond of their time during the Shah's regime, before Khomeini came to power, they get a little upset and they want to believe that the Baha'is were in a good shape during the Shah's regime. And I want people read that book to realize even during that time, especially I emphasize that in 1950s and 60s, with the coming of Fala bin Falsafi, he was one of the great mullahs in Iran. He got in radio and he really agitated the population against the Baha'i faith. That was in 1955 when they went and they destroyed the dome of the National Baha'i Center. It was a massive destruction. That was the time that they killed 7 Baha'is in the village of Hormozak, which is close to the city of Yazd. And a massive number of people lost their job. They were kicked out of the army. The doctor could not work anymore. So this persecution did not start with Khomeini coming to power. It being an ongoing process, sometimes more severely, sometimes less severely. So this I thought I share with you. And I really want you to read that book, 175 Years of Persecution.
It's sharing the link on the chat.
And the link, I understand Tatiana has shared it on the Jeremiah shared it on the chat, so you can go there and learn more about what's happening. Okay, now I'm getting old, and I really forget what I told you last week. Seriously, I keep thinking, what did I share with them? How far did I go? Where shall I start? So if I repeat myself, I can always claim it at my age. So I'm forgetting things. So you can also give me a hint to say something. Oh, we have heard that already. You don't have to repeat. It's up to you. But if you're kind to me, you would listen to me anyway. So I started.
Don't worry about that.
Thank you, John. So we started last week, and I went in detail how the life was in my village, how the life was in the other part of Iran, my traveling and my day as a teenager. And I think I mentioned I went to the American consulate and I asked for help to come to America to become a nuclear engineer. How silly could you be? I could hardly speak English, and I want to become a nuclear engineer, and I want to compete with Albert Einstein and von Braun. No, this was the ambitions of a young Persian. So I came to America from the very in a boat, actually, Queen Mary. I came to America on Queen Mary. I paid $50 fee to get here. It took us 6 days to get to New York. I ended up living in the YMCA in downtown Manhattan. Pay, I think, $1.50 a night for my staying there. Was a confusion about the school I was admitted. I always thought I was admitted to Harvard. Then I realized it was not Harvard, it was Howard. So this was the beginning of my dilemma and my trouble. So you have to realize I was young, I was broke, I didn't know the language, I missed my family, I could not, I was not allowed to work because I had the student visa. And those days, the immigration office was so tough on the foreign student. Often you have to go and report that how many courses you are taking, what the school you are going, what grade you are getting, and all that. So it was not that easy to escape and work illegally, which I had to. I had no choice. That I work on the underground market as a dishwasher, as a bellboy, as a factory worker, and all that, often for the cash. So the life went on for a quite period of time. And I remember so many incidents. I share one of them with you. As I told you, I finally got my dream job. I became a dishwasher, and I was very happy because I could go to school daytime, and at nighttime, I could go to restaurant and work. And after a while, because I was so good looking and so bright, they decided to make me a busboy. So this was a really American dreams coming true, little by little, from dishwasher to the busboy. So the time that I was a dishwasher, we would go to this agency called Roma, who was on the 46th Street off 8th Avenue. Some of the people who know New York, and they know what I'm talking about. You would give the agency $1, and you sit in the hallway, and you wait and wait. This is the weekend for Friday or Saturday. A restaurant would call, and they need additional help. So he would call, Jimmy. So I get up, I run to him. He gave me an address, the address of the restaurant that I'm going to work that night as a dishwasher. This was because I could not get a steady job. It has to be on and off situation, so immigration office cannot catch up with me. So one of those occasions, I got this appointment. I got this referral to this Italian restaurant in Brooklyn. So I went there, beautiful restaurant. Then I realized that particular night, there was a wonderful Italian wedding taking place. 200-300 guests were present. There was an old man who was their dishwasher, who could hardly move. So I was supposed to assist him because of this large number of people who were present. So we start to wash dishes. And you know, this, God bless this Italian friend of mine, they eat a lot. They have soup, they have pasta, they have salad, they have the main dish, they have cheesecake. So these dishes were keep coming to the kitchen, and we were trying to wash them, put them in a machine, get it out, clean them up. So as this thing going on, my hair, long hair is in my face, I'm sweating, I'm becoming almost half black. So at some point I had to take a break. I had no choice because I could not breathe. So I heard the beautiful music coming from the main hall. I think they were doing rock and roll. Those days was popular. So those of you who know restaurant business, there's a revolving door between the kitchen and the main dining room. So I pushed the revolving door. I went to the main hall, and I'm standing there in my, what they call this white thing you wear?
Working clothes.
Working clothes. It was pretty dirty and messy. The hair is all over the place. So I'm standing in a corner and watching these beautiful girls doing their rock and roll and playing good music and dancing. I felt for a few moments, I'm in heaven. Somebody saw me. So this dirty little boy is standing on a corner very obscene scene in the wedding. So they complained to the manager that who is this kid on the corner? So the manager was a big Italian guy, came, I never forget that, hold me by my shoulder, right by the revolving door, and he shoved me through the revolving door into the kitchen. Of course, I fall down, I hit my head against the big refrigerator, start to bleed so much they had to call an ambulance and they have to take me to the hospital and put some stitches in my head. So I'm not saying this thing to ask for your sympathy. So long ago, I think even the stitches are gone. But I'm just saying the life of immigrant and life of this foreign student and life of refugees is a tough life. And if you have a chance to show some sympathy, some kindness, and some attention or affection, it goes a long way. A few days later, I just finished the story in a second. I went to the same restaurant because after all, I have worked 5-6 hours and I thought I'm entitled to a little bit of salary. Boy, oh boy, you should see the manager start to chase me and curse me that you know how much trouble you caused me that night. You have to pay for the ambulance to take you to hospital. You have to do this. All the dishes was left over for next day. That old man has to wash them. So this was my life those days. I don't know if I told you last week. I finally saw an ad in the newspaper that it said, undertaker, I think I told you this, undertaker, $5 an hour, no experience necessary. I had no idea what is undertaker. So I called him up. I told him, this is Jimmy. I told him, they used to call me Jimmy. This is Jimmy, and I like to get a job. He said, okay, Jimmy, start Monday, come over Monday, 8, 9 o'clock, until like this. I went home and I told my landlady, from now on, you're going to have the rent on time. She was so surprised. She said, how come? I said, I got the job. I'm going to get $5 an hour, which was a super money those days, $5 an hour. And then she said, what are you going to do? Oh, I said, I'm going to be undertaker. Oh my God. As soon as she heard that, she got so upset. She said, get the hell out of my house. Because, you know, you don't want an undertaker to live next door to you. They have this phobia, this fear that to have somebody like that around them. So of course I couldn't become undertaker. And I can imagine if I would write to my parents that I have gone to America to become nuclear engineer. No, I'm an undertaker and I'm washing dead body. What a disgrace. That would happen. So this was, life was tough, believe me, as at the beginning. There was lots of also, no, I'm going all over the place. Why not? I try to entertain you. There were lots of friction among the Iranian students and others. There were some who were pro-Shah. There were some who were pro-revolutionary movement. And there were some like me, who were some mostly Baha'i, who were out of this conflict. And sometimes somebody like me would get, unfortunately, in the crossfire between these groups. All of a sudden, I got a letter from immigration office to report, let's say Tuesday at 11 o'clock for the interview. My heart dropped. What they want from me? I went there, I sat down, and he said, Hussein, are you getting some material from East Germany? You know, those days, East Germany was the part of the communist world and under influence of Russia. I said, what? He said, we have a report that you receive some material, publicity material, and you distribute them in this country and receive them from East Germany. I said, please. And I remember, I figured out I better not answer him. I told him, I take the Fifth Amendment. So the guy laughed. He said, Hussein, you've been watching too much television. These court cases, I take the Fifth Amendment. You are not, as a foreigner, you are not entitled to Fifth Amendment. You are here because of the privilege, not because of any right. So that was the end of my taking the Fifth Amendment. So anyway, I had to prove that I'm not receiving anything from East Germany and this and that. What else happened those days? Oh, it's cute. Some of these things are in my book. You should really save your money and buy the book. You're going to have fun. It's sad and it's humor at the same time. I ended up buying a car for $100 because I was in New Jersey and I had to get around. And this was an old car.
$100 car?
$100 car, yeah. And this car was more often in the garage for some repair than for me to drive around. But anyway, it was helpful. So two interest, and I got a couple of tickets doing that. So somehow I either didn't pay attention, this and that. So one day when I come home, there were 2 policemen were waiting, and they arrested me because the judge has issued a summons for my arrest for not, those days, this thing was very serious, that I have not paid attention and I have not paid my fine. So they took me to police station. It was, oh my God. So they put me in the cell, and there was this guy sitting in a corner. He was, I think, from Yugoslavia. We got in conversation. I told him I'm here because I didn't pay my fine for the tickets and things like this. Then I asked him, what are you? Well, he said, they told me I have raped this woman, and I don't even know her. So can you imagine? They put me in the same cell as a rapist. So finally, some friends came, put some bond, get me out. So I went to the court. Listen to this part. John, you're a lawyer, so you appreciate this. So what happened? I'm in the court, and the judge said, Hussein, you have failed 2 times to come to the court and answer our summons and pay your fine. Why? And then I told him, Your Highness. I didn't start calling Your Honor. I called him Your Highness. He said, never mind, Your Highness. Honor would do it. I had the choice of either taking exam or coming to court, which was true that particular day. Oh, you picked up the lesser of 2 evils, didn't you? I said, well, it seems like. So he said, I'm going to 60 days suspension of license and payment of the fine plus penalty. So I said, Judge, I'm willing to pay the fine, but you're paralyzing my life. I have to go to work. I have to go to school, back and forth. He said, I'm not paralyzing your life. I'm penalizing you. So next time you don't do this. So anyway, oh God, no, I have no license either for 60 days, but who cares? I have to drive anyway. So I'm driving, going from, God help me. A good thing the statute of medical limitation is out. So they cannot come and get me after 60 years. So I'm driving from New York to New Jersey. I'm right by Harlem Tunnel. And it's a snowy day.
That doesn't work for a criminal. They can
I'm driving as I'm entering the Harlem Tunnel to go to New Jersey. This guy who is behind me suddenly pushed the. No, other way around. Oh, I hit them in the back. No, I was the guilty one. I don't know. I had to push the brake. It didn't work. I hit him. So I was so nervous now. At the beginning of a tunnel, the police would come. They are stopping all the traffic, and then my license is suspended. And I hit the guy in the back. So what the hell is going to happen now? But can you imagine? The guy ran to me. He said, how much? I said, how much for what? He said, how much damage? So he reached to his pocket, I think gave me $40, $50. I think he was in more trouble than I was. He wanted quickly. He wanted quickly to get away. So I think he gave me $40, $50 and he took off and I left. Okay, what else happened? You want to hear more? Or shall I go back to my American dream?
No, tell the story of another story that the guy came after you to home.
Tatiana, thanks God, Tatiana, she's here. I think this stuff is good for a movie. I swear to God. Remember that movie? What was it? Coming to America? With Eddie Murphy. Was it Eddie Murphy? Yeah, I think something like this. Definitely Coming to America from Persia. Okay, there was a hamburger restaurant in New Jersey, and they had this glass door. I'm from a village. I never seen a glass door in any place. Everything is wooden or brick and things like this. So they have told me this is a good place. They have a good hamburger, 79 cents each, and they give you French fry and a Coke with that also. So I decided to go and eat there. So I'm rushing to get inside, not realizing there's a glass door. I went right through the door. God damn it, how stupid can you be? So I hit the glass door, broke the glass, injured myself, cut my forehead and hand and all that. So again, they have to take me to hospital and give me some stitches. They don't look like I love getting stitches. So this happened. Forget about the hamburger now. A few weeks later, my landlady was a German woman, God bless her. And she called me and said, Hussein, somebody wants to see you. I had the room on the 2nd floor. I came down, this wonderful American fellow with a briefcase, nice suits on, was sitting in the living room waiting for me. And broken English. He started to talk about that accident, that the hamburger store for Route 46. I said, oh my God, they come here to collect the money for the broken glass. Where am I going to get the money now to pay for that? Not realizing he was an insurance agent and he has come there to settle the case. So I think he said something, I don't remember the figure, believe me. He said 500. I said 500? 500 for me was so much money. No, okay, 700. So he gave me $1,000 that day for settling and not suing and things like this, because then I went there again another occasion and I see they have changed the door and they put some sign and some red things. So this was a story of a young man with a dream who come to America to meet the, who were those days? Marilyn Monroe, Gregory Peck, Tony Curtis. These were the people who I knew through the movie screen. And I think I mentioned last week, I love to go see American movies. And this was my heroes and my dream to come and see them. So little by little, things get better. And of course, I think I mentioned, I met this superwoman that I used to know her from Iran. And by just luck, she agreed to marry me. I really, for the life of me, I don't know why. She was beautiful. She was a doctor. She was from a rich family. She was a Baha'i. And on top of all that, she had green card, which is really the perfect combination, really. And this answered all my trouble. So my life changed all of a sudden. And her name is Tahere. And I don't know, she's a wonderful lady. God bless her. So we married and we spent years together, and it's almost more than 50 years. And just to one point I think I made last week, which I'd like to repeat one more time. Those Baha'is who stay behind, they are really, and they steadfastly maintain their faith, maintain their commitment to the Baha'i principle. They are the heroes who did that. But then there are some like me and others who could not take the pressure anymore, and they left and they come to America, Australia, Europe, and other places. Because of the persecution and because of the blessing of their ancestor, and in my case, I'm 100% sure, because of the praying of my father and the blood that was shed by my ancestor as a martyr during the Babis period, quite a number of them. I think most of us, those immigrants, have somehow, some way, we have sort of make the American dream. That's why I call this session American Dream. But that it doesn't mean, I think I mentioned again last week, that some of us have opened some Dunkin' Donut and some of us have some McDonald's franchise, and some of us may have a big piece of real estate here and there. It means that we are enjoying the degree of freedom. We can practice our faith. We can open our mouth and say what we want without being afraid of persecution. I remember the first or second session at the university, there was this politician who came, and he was saying so many nasty things about the president and about the government. I was so afraid that any moment the army and the police would arrive and they arrest all of us, because something like this could never happen. Can you imagine you go publicly and attack the government and the system? You are in a big trouble if you do something like this. But here, of course, you have this freedom and enjoy yourself. How much time I have? John, do I have lots of time?
You're asking that question. Yes, you have a lot of time.
Okay, all right.
Tell the
So-
story and
You have 2 minutes. I'm kidding.
with the milk in the cow.
Did I discuss last week my episode in St. Michael's College in Vermont, in Vermont, as a student and the cafeteria arrangement? Okay, let me I repeat for those who are not there. What happened? Of course, I came to New York. I realized everything was up in the air. Harvard was out of picture. Howard University, a black university, I was not kind of a acceptance to some kind of college and to
You
continue.
just cut out if you want to repeat what you were saying.
So
I heard blank and then acceptance to some kind of college.
Some college. So college that took me was St. Michael's College. It was to learn English. So this was again to satisfy the immigration needs, so I could maintain. I want to let you know, I have accumulated so many degrees thanks to this requirement to be a student. I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and never worked one day as an engineer. I almost got a master in mathematics from Columbia University. I never liked mathematics. I got a master in European intellectual history. So what? I love it. And then I got a PhD in education. All this degree was accumulated because I have to go to school to maintain my visa. And I don't think so I use any of them in my daily life, especially after I married a doctor. I didn't have to work anymore because she was making tons of money. God bless her. She was a good woman. So I went to St. Michael's College to study English. Very cold, very lonely, small campus, Jesuit school. So the highlight of my life was in cafeteria for a number of reasons. First, there was plenty milk. There was a machine that I would go over there. I would just push the handle down and I get all the milk I wanted. And I was in my village, milk was something very rare to get. The only time my mother used to give me milk when I was sick. She would go around and collect some milk and warm it up and give it to me. So that was amazing. I said, where all this
What kind of milk are we talking about?
Huh?
What kind of milk are we talking about? Sheep's milk, goat milk?
A cow.
Cow milk, okay.
Cow milk, yeah, that's a good one actually. Forget about it. From the cow, we get more milk than a goat. So I would go behind the building. This, you don't believe this. No, I have to remember I was a farmer boy. I would go behind the building looking for the cows, see where all this milk is coming from. I could swear that these cows behind the building, they're connected to this machine. And when you pull the handle down, all the milk come and you drink it. This of course, later on realized that was not the case. The other thing that really was fun was chicken. Chicken was a wonderful delicacy in my house, in our household. Only time we had chicken when we had a special guest. And I was always hoping they would not eat all the chicken, so there would be a little bit left for us. So when we had the special guest, the hand of a cause or some important person, my mother would cook the half a chicken, and then I would get the bones or the meat of the chicken for that day. I come to America, and it's chicken all over the place. I couldn't believe it. I go to cafeteria in the line, I put my plate down, and I tell the man, chicken. So he would put down a big half a chicken or a whole chicken on my plate. So for those times that I was in St. Michael's College, all I ate, lunch, dinner, I don't eat breakfast, chicken after chicken. So I'm sorry, this was, and then another thing. Oh, I'm getting tired. I'm getting too excited. So anyway, the way we drink tea in my village, you have a cup, you have a saucer, and you have this lump of sugar. We would pick up the tea. I'm sure you have seen those tea cups. You can see glass, yeah. We pour the tea in the saucer. You put the sugar in your mouth, and you go like this, and you go like this, and it's fun to make a little noise when you suck the milk. And then all the kids, they were waiting and watching me. Why is Hussein doing this? Why? First of all, he's not drinking coffee, he's drinking tea, which was unusual for them. Second, okay, so St. Michael's finished, came back to New York. I rented a room on 76th Street and Broadway for $7 a week. That place now has become a condominium, and each of those units are sold for a few $1 million. But anyway, those days, we had the community life. We had a large, one bathroom, 7 rooms, and 7 tenants that we all share, and we pay $1 a night each. The building was full of foreigners, prostitutes, gays, addicts, some very old people, and really my heart goes to them. I remember when I would come to the lobby of the hotel, I see a whole bunch of these old people, men and women, are sitting down and they are staring at the door, see if there is somebody come to visit them and somebody say hello to them. So that, I remember that building. In number of occasions, I remember I didn't even have that $7 to pay, so they locked me out of my room. So I had to sleep on the bench on there's a divider on Broadway. They have nice benches. So sometimes when I see some homeless people in New York, and there are plenty of them around these days, I remember my days on those benches in New York, and I feel sorry for them. I started university, and then I struggled through, get the degrees and married, and then because of Tahrir, and even of course before that I was involved too, I became fully involved and active in Baha'i activity. In New York, I ended up a member of New York Assembly. I tried as a treasurer. I helped to raise funds to buy the Baha'i Center. I remember we bought the Baha'i Center for $250,000 on 11th Street. That building now is worth almost $20 million.
Kambis Hakim is here.
And who's there?
Kambis Hakim,
Oh,
another member.
yeah, that's right. So this was 1976 when we bought that Baha'i Center. Then they established in Canada, they established this wonderful Baha'i association called Association of Baha'i Study. And two of my good friends, Doug Martin and Hussein Danish, were founders of this organization, and I helped them to raise funds, and I gave lots of lectures in that occasion, and we bought the center for them in Ottawa. Later on, I just want to brag about some of the things I did. Just to show that you could be in America, but you could also be active in Baha'i field. We had to establish an office called Office of Public Information, because after 1979, with all this major persecution of Baha'i, the House of Justice realized there is a need to have a central office to answer all the media questions and all the problems that others are facing. So this office was established in New York, and Doug Martin was the director. And since I was a New Yorker, of course, I was an assistant to him also. So the life has been wonderful. I often went to summer school, and I think I mentioned before to your group or some other group that what my wife did, which God bless her, is that trying to establish some rhythm of Baha'i life for the children. They would never miss a feast. They always contribute to the fund. There was a picture of Abdul Baha on the wall in the room. They always together, my wife and them, they say the daily obligatory prayer. She would take them once or twice a year to Baha'i summer school, Greenacre. At home, one time I remember the phone rang. This was I think Bobby, my son, was 4 or 5 years old. The phone rang, and I didn't want to really talk with the person. I was busy or tired. So I told Bobby, my son, tell them I'm not here. You should see the expression on the face of this kid. He said, Dad, you want me lie? And I was really shocked, and I figured out, my God, this must be training of their mother, that even the simple things, or some other occasion when my daughter, for example, I just want to say that if you maintain some basic standard Baha'i life, the kids would grow up with the same spirit, and they are. I'm proud of them. And believe me, just being a Baha'i and would retard your progress is not true. Just to brag again, my son at this point is a dean of a major law school, and God bless him, making tons of money, and he doesn't give me any. And then my daughter graduated from Johns Hopkins with a PhD, and she was involved in developing the HPV vaccination, and God bless her too. So they are useful citizens. And I really feel like that, again, the prayer of my father and the bloodshed of the early martyr is the one that has been behind us and supporting us and keep us going. There is a quote, I think it's from Baha'u'llah or Abdul Baha, which I like to, if I remember it. The quote is, when they try to turn off or to turn off the light of the faith on the land, the light would rise up from the middle of ocean. Do I make sense?
Yes.
Yes, it does make sense, I think. So otherwise, if they're trying to destroy our faith in Persia, somewhere else, the faith would come up. And believe me, when I attended some of these big temples opening in India, in Chile, in Samoa, when I see at the middle of ocean, the temple of Samoa is coming up, or temple of Chile comes up, I remember that expression. They may try to do this to us in our homeland, but they will not be able to distinguish the light of the faith. There are, in the book also, I have made many references to some other Baha'is who went through the lots of suffering and martyrdom. Subhani family, for example, or Ishraqi family. These are, and many others. So I'm not that unique. There are many other people who have lost immediate member of their family very recently. And God bless them, and may God give them comfort and so on. So this basically, I'm willing to answer any question. We were hoping to show some video, but there was some kind of technical and legal problem. So we're going to not do that.
Share the link on
John would probably share a link with you if you like to go there. Good luck. But meanwhile, I'm willing to answer any question that you folks may have.
I was trying to find my unmute button. So there is a question, and this is from Mr. Alex Boyson of Norway. He's asking, what was the frequency of your seeing the Baha'is at New York at that time? So when did you check in with the Baha'i community? And when you arrived and during your studies, and when you were working in your early days, what was this frequency of you actually getting involved with the Baha'is around you?
Not much, unfortunately, at the very beginning. And the reason was very simple. First, I was too busy working in school. Second, I was too embarrassed. Can you imagine coming as a noble Persian Baha'i, and when they ask you what you do, you tell them you are a dishwasher in an Italian restaurant in downtown Brooklyn. So it was, some of it was this feeling of failure that I didn't want to admit, and I didn't want to expose myself. And second, it was such a hot period of time in 1960s. The anti-Vietnam War was going on, the civil rights was going on, John Kennedy was just shot, and later on Martin Luther King and Bob Kennedy, and lots of campus unrest. So it was such a ongoing, exciting, and I have to struggle to survive. So it was not really, unfortunately, Baha'u'llah forgive me, I have no time for the Baha'i faith at that time. There is this, it didn't really. But then later on, especially after I married Tahireh, I became a born again. So that was really my full commitment. And then soon after that, I became a member of assembly. I became treasurer of assembly. And for more than 20 some years, I was New York assembly member. And then, so that was my involvement. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So there is I have a question for you. So I want to ask you first, why is it that the segment American Dream, why is it that you think you accomplished your American dream?
My American dream, when I was in Persia, it was different from what happened here. My American dream at that point was to come to America, to become a nuclear engineer, to meet all these good-looking movie stars, to drive on California highways in a yellow car or a blue car. This was my two favorite color of the car those days, and to do lots of things that I dream about. And at that point, I knew that there would be a freedom, but I didn't know the extent of it. But then, of course, when I came to America, my American dream got away from me because the difficulty and hardship I had to face, it became just the American survival. just to day to day, I have to manage to stay alive and keep going. The dream was that I'm sincere about this, that I have the opportunity in this country to do what I want to do without any limitation, as long as I do not break any laws. This is a wonderful opportunity. I don't know how many people appreciate this, especially native. They don't realize that, and they take this for granted. And you have to come from one of those developing countries to realize what a blessing it is to have this freedom and of religion, of movement, of job opportunity, and then I'm writing books left and right, and I get published. Somehow people like what I write. That there was no way that I could have done this in Persia. The moment I write one article, publish one article, I would get 5 years of prison for what I was saying. So these are my American dream when I say that it finally came true. And of course, the raising a good family and becoming a good citizen and becoming a useful individual.
So Peter Burns says, Dr. Hussein, your stories would make an amazing movie. God bless you, he says.
Who is this? Who said that?
Peter Burns. If you want to unmute yourself, feel free to.
Yeah, Peter, I love your idea. This has been, many people have mentioned that, not because of me, my story, but because of the book Foreigner got lots of attention. And it was really, because it shows the plight of a minority in Persia, their exodus from the villages to big cities, their escape from the 1979 revolution. And then, of course, because the movie or stories, you cannot constantly talk about big things. You have to narrow it down to simple individual. And then the stories of few people that I have picked up in the book to tell their stories on and off. These are really very colorful thinking. I think the idea of having a book is a great, having a movie is a great idea. As soon as you have, somebody who has $10, $15 million to invest, please let me know.
Maybe less.
Maybe less. They said an independent movie could only cost $5 million.
Low budget films, they do very well. Several hundred thousand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I've also read one of your other books about the persecutions and the Ram, which is quite,
Awakening.
Yeah,
beautiful. Very in-depth. Thank you very much.
It was I was very lucky. Oh God, Baha'u'llah, thank you for everything. I came across this wonderful man by the name Hillary Chapman, who is
Jeremy?
Hillary.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, he's a grandson of Leroy Ivas, the hand of a cause, the one who was the assistant to Shoghi Effendi for many years. And it's amazing that between he and I became such a good team. All the books that have come out is really a product of the two of us. And altogether is about 15 of them in different languages that we have done in the last 10 years. And he is really, has all the trait of his grandfather. He's industrious, he's careful, he is a good writer, and we often are in regular contact, what to write, what to say, how to present the idea, and God bless him that he was a big blessing to come to my life.
It's very, very good. Very good. Thank you, Peter, for your input and getting Hussein to talk about this. So I have a question. This is another one. When you talk about the American dream, is it over for you? Is there more left to write?
Not really. I think the only thing I'm hoping very hard to have a pass to Abha Kingdom. And I understand Kambiz Hakim is authority and expert in the life after death. So maybe I can consult with him and to find out
Easy pass to a
that
parking.
maybe he can provide me an easy pass and to Abha Kingdom. And so, did I see him on audience?
He was in the audience. Now he muted.
Yeah, yeah, he's here. He's here.
Okay.
He just come.
That's what I'm saying,
Here,
John.
I asked him to unmute.
Listening to you.
I love your Kambis.
Love you too.
I tell you, whenever I used to see Kambis, I used to say that, for a Persian, he's very good looking. And he was even better looking those days that I met him for the first time. And I was very impressed because, unfortunately, most of the Persian you meet, they don't have this nice proportional face that he has. His nose, his eyes, his mouth, they're all the right sizes. And the combination make him to look so handsome. So things I love you. And I went to California. I was very anxious to meet him, but he has moved from that Los Angeles area, and I missed that opportunity. But next time I would see you. This is really, you bring lots of good memory.
So I hear he's going to move to Florida, right?
Yeah, that would be good. He likes a good life.
The warm life. So there's another question.
Sure.
So what do you see as the qualities, the characteristics of the American people, since you came from one land, you entered another, you saw two different nations, two different groups of people. What do you think are the qualities and characteristics of the American people that allow them the privilege of being able to raise the banner of world peace and the oneness of humanity? What do you feel are the greatest obstacles to the American people now in this respect?
American people and America have been blessed, believe me, by God, in almost every respect. Take simple geography of this country and availability of plenty water, plenty good air, plenty forest, plenty land, open land. How many of European country has this? They are on top of each other. Or how many countries like Middle East, they are on top of each other. And everything is so scarce. The simple availability of river and water that you folks have. If you go to Middle East, the water is causing bloodshed, is causing friction between all these countries, between Egypt and the Nile, between Israel and Arab with the Jordan River. And these are the problems that you folks have. This is one question that I really God been good to you. Number two, in other culture and other countries, they have this rigid class system. In India, you have caste system. In England, you have upper class and lower class. In Persia, God help you, you have the rich folks and the poor folks. In this country, somehow you have opportunity to break. There's no way that somebody from a lower caste in India can make it to the top level. I mean, there's a small, occasionally 1 in a million may have a luck and do it, but it doesn't happen often. If you're born in the lower class and lower caste, you will die in the lower class and lower caste. This was the story. In England, if you're born in the, what's that section? It was a series of TV when poor people in the certain part of London were living. And when you're born in that part of London, you would die in that part of London. You'll never make it to the upper class away. But in this country, somehow it's possible for Jimmy Carter, a peanut guy, to become president of the United States. For Clinton, who's an orphan, to become a president of the United States. For a black guy, Obama, to become president. These are examples that things can be done. And it's really is an amazing blessing. I remember, I tell you an incident. When I was a busboy in one of the New Jersey restaurants, there was this family that would come and then very good looking, tall man, over 6 foot tall. For Persian, when you're over 6 foot tall, you're a giant. And you definitely are qualified to become prime minister. or become at least minister of education or somebody big shot, because small people never make it that high, but you have to have a height to do that. So I always thought this man is really maybe governor of New Jersey or deputy governor, if not. They would come and they have dinner and this and that. So since they came a few times, I became friendly with them. I find out, son of a gun, he's a garbage collector. Which is no problem. But I found out he is making so much money. He has two, 3 trucks that he hired people and they collect garbage. And actually, they had a cute daughter that I dated her a couple of times. I went to their house. It was this beautiful, huge house. And I couldn't believe, in my country, a garbage collector is not necessarily a very prominent and acceptable position. This is America. The son of this man could be the future governor of New Jersey. But that would not happen in Persia, would not happen in India, and things like this. These are the things that I admire and I appreciate in this country.
Oh, I just muted myself. Thank you so much for sharing that. I was unmuted the whole time. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is very, very good points, because in America, you definitely have, although there is this sense of rich and poor in America, that is real, yes, but you don't have the same exclusion simply because of where you're born, who you're born to, per se. So there are, of course, barriers in America, but it's not as thick and as enduring as these barriers that currently exist in other places.
But John, I meant to mention this, I forgot. You have this country, you have a long way to go to resolve some major issue that this has been facing this country for the last few hundred years. The situation with the native Indians, Americans, is horrible. They don't talk too much about it, but there is what has been done and what we don't do with them is a crime. The situation with the minority needs lots of attention. That still there are pockets of poverty, of ghetto lifestyle in the inner city of America that has to be pay attention, and the minority, the Black and others should. So these are the issues that we have to face and we have to resolve. And God willing, and when I see, when I told you I live in the lower part of Manhattan, so I see lots of interaction between the young Black and white students and people. And I see that there is a whole new generation who are breaking away from the traditional taboo relation that was existed in this country until not long ago.
Those are great points, great points. Nonetheless, what you said, I think it was very valuable. And it is something that a person like you, where you were at, you were not given the rights that you were given when you came here. And I know, for example, with my own grandfather, he worked in a very good position in Iran, but then he was offered something very good in Canada, but he chose for family to come to America. And in the same industry, in aviation, they didn't even want to give him a job doing anything relating to his aviation engineering profession, because his name was the same as Khomeini.
Yes.
Roholla.
That's right.
So he was called a terrorist, and he was labeled very bad things without people even knowing him, not even meeting the man, because his name was the same as the man in the news that was the cause for the Iran hostage crisis. No one wanted to have him as a person in their company. He might go blow up their planes. This is well before 9/11.
That's it. Actually, this reminds me of another story. I had a good friend in New York who was a student at Columbia University, and he got his PhD, I think, in economy. And we were very close. And it was around the same time, I think I got my PhD in education, and I was running Harlem Prep School. So he went to Iran, and because of his training and because of his whatever, he became the Minister of Economy, economic minister or trade, whatever. And he contacted me, and he said, Hussein, there are lots of needs for people like you in Persia to come back and then develop our educational system and try to modernize our school system and all that. And for a while, I was thinking, perhaps it may be a good idea to return back, but somehow it didn't materialize. So this went on. A few years later, I saw his wife, Karen, in the street of New York. Hello, Karen, how are you? How is, forgot his name right now. His last name was, I think, Kazemi something. How is the husband? Oh, we are back in America. Oh, how that happened? Oh, we know he's a professor at Columbia University. I said, I thought he was the minister. What did you? Oh, he said, Hussein, you don't know what happened. What happened? He said, he and I were driving in the street of Tehran. We were involved in a car accident, simple car accident. The driver of the other car got very upset. He came, he pulled my husband out of the car, and he beat the hell out of him. He said he injured him so badly, he ended up in hospital for a couple of months. After that, we decided, that's it, we don't want to stay in Iran anymore. So he resigned, and we came to America. So you see the difference between the culture and what sometimes we went through in those places.
And following their laws.
That how the simple car accident could almost cost you your life.
Road rage, yeah.
Outrage can happen. Road rage, that's right. Actually, the story goes that there was a major car accident in one of the Iranian highways, and a bunch of people unfortunately died, and there were a few wounded. So finally the police car arrived, and this wounded man was screaming in pain, help, help, help. So the policeman told him, what's wrong with you? All these people are dead and they are not saying anything, and you are screaming? So this was the attitude of...
That's terrible.
Any other question? I think we should wrap it up soon.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing these stories with us. It's definitely a big difference between the land of Ta and the land of America. It's a very, very big difference.
I like that land of the Ta.
And what's very intriguing is that what we can learn from this is there is a book called The Foreigner that Dr. Adia has written, and it is on these subjects. If you find these subjects interesting to you, please take the time to read that book. And more importantly, for the investigation of the faith, there are right now today Baha'is in Iran who they are still there. They are being treated like less than human. They are being treated with very, very severe cruelty. They cannot have a license to go work, to have their own business. They cannot, if they are trying to work for another person, work for that person. If the government knows about it, the person who gives business to the Baha'i will be punished. Likewise, like a Baha'i, the persons who do business with Baha'is, they can cheat them with impunity because the government will not, that people that are officials in the government, they will engage in corruption and not allow for the Baha'is to have their rights upheld. And the story goes even further, but the point is, if you go to school, officials have released to the poor students, teachers, that your students, if they say they're a Baha'i, you're going to treat them this way. And that includes humiliating them in the class, telling the classmates outrageous lies, For example, we know Baha'is believe in God, saying Baha'is believe in cows or whatever, they turn into cockroaches and what have you. Like you see in the movie Borat, they said about the Jews, kind of similar with the Baha'is. That they're spies for some other land that they don't like at the moment. And the story goes further. But the point of bringing this up is that these people, as Dr. Adia said, they are the real heroes right now, today, and just spreading awareness of this matters. And this sacrifice that they're making is as Baha'is believe, that their sacrifice is the reason that the faith is excelling all around the world, the reason that you have the acceleration of the arts and the music and sciences. All of this is because of their sacrifices that they're making every day for the rest of the world. So this presentation definitely goes out to them. So thank you so much, Dr. Adia, for being with us. And please, everyone that has not heard about the Baha'is of Iran, who hasn't investigated it, please go online and research the situation of the Baha'is of Iran. You can go to www.baha'i.us. I think it's /Iran. Was that the website? Baha'i.us/Iran. Let's see. I want everyone to be able to visit.
Shall I say something? Take a picture.
Yes, please do.
John, I just want to thank you again and take the Baha'is of Clearwater for really giving me this opportunity for last few sessions to talk about this particular subject. The subject is very close to my heart, and and one suggestion I have also, especially for my Persian brother and sister, is try to avoid getting too much involved in the current political situation in this country, because I see lots of Facebook posting and lots of other things that is, it has the political connotation. And for the Persian to have those and then make a comment and things like this, in the long run, it could be used against our brother and sister in Iran, or even in this country. We are not supposed to make a stand on this conflict and this terrible confrontations. So that's my last point I like to make. And I thank you again, John, and the crew.
Thank you. And for all of you who are interested, please visit www.baha'i.us and search around the page. Look up Iran, Baha'is of Iran. You'll see a lot. Human rights. The Baha'is are active in these social discourses in society. And as Dr. Adia very poignantly expressed, we definitely, as Baha'is, do not get involved in partisan politics. We don't support any political entities. We support the social issues that Baha'is hold near and dear, such as interracial marriage. We believe in interracial marriage as a solution to the racism problem in America, where Abdul Baha came to this country and said, instead of this Jim Crow era and this separation and even the concept of toleration of the other peoples, Abdul Baha comes and says, let's get married.
Exactly.
So the Baha'i message is a very unique message, and it deserves its own study. And Peter Burton says, thank you, Dr. Hussein and Clearwater Baha'is. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Allah Appa. And
Hello, Pa. Have a wonderful weekend.
have a beautiful
Say,
weekend.
John, take good care of yourself.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.